Welcome back to War Thunder, welcome to Realistic Tank Battles, first impressions on the T28, which is an American premium battle rating 6.3 rank 4 tank destroyer. And first impressions is not completely true, as I have driven the T95 previously a lot in arcade and realistic battles alike, which, you know, is a very good comparison, as the vehicle, despite certain differences within the side armor, is practically the same. You have massive frontal armor, you have nearly no weak spot except the cupola, more on this in a moment, and you're slow, you're very slow. 12.8 kilometers per hour is 7 kilometers an hour slower than the mouse. I think at rank 4 they must be the slowest vehicles in the game. The T28 is much more vulnerable to side shootings than the T95, and previously one of the biggest complaints that I had was how easy it was to penetrate the cupola of the T95 and therefore also the T28 with even a T3485 and one-shot it with an APHE shell and even do massive damage with an AP shot. That got changed. What we now have is practically that every APHE shell overpenetrates. Usually overpenetration is something when you have very thin armor, like on a Hellcat with a side shot from a German anti-tank shell, whereas the fuse sensitivity is too high for the armor that you penetrate. So you have basically just the damaging effect of an armor-piercing shell. And now, this cupola, I think, I'm not quite sure when it happened, but it happened, that you overpenetrate. So even with a German shell or Russian shell, APHE shell that is, you just enter the cupola if you don't bounce, and you go right through. And that is an intentional buff, I guess. Previously, people tried to use bushes or certain other 3D objects to hide the cupola, and at long range it was quite tricky. Watch this T3485, by the way. He pays no attention whatsoever. Completely tunnel vision. And if I jump a T3485 with a T28, well, that's gonna be funny, right? Same goes for the second T34 that I will engage just in a moment. Watch this guy's behavior. Where is he? There he comes. Nice camouflage. You had there. So the question is this tank worth it? I'd say, to be honest, it's a gimmick tank. But it has one drawback, and that's the mobility. It has a great gun with a great one-shot potential. It's, for all intents and purposes, a variant of the T29's gun, but with 3 seconds longer reloads. And yes, I butchered this engagement with the T44, but you will be amused how it turns out. And there you can see just couldn't get in the shot. With a T29, I probably would have had a chance to kill him. Nevertheless, you can dominate one portion of the map, especially when you have support. I have support in the shape of a panther. Great shout out to him. And yeah, this T44 seems to be damaged. He seems to want to retreat for repairing. Something like that. I don't know. I tried to get a look at him, a glimpse at him, to maybe kill him, and then he hides not completely behind the house. His massive mistake. I hear an airplane over me and bombs behind me, and I got double tracked. 30 seconds repair. Oh, that's nasty. So that's actually the full description, but I also did a bit of testing with the Frontal Armor. Now, I'm not complaining here, it's just an observation. I had a thought about this stuff and I just wanted to test it. And thanks to Exif for allowing me the test shooting here. Now the next part that I wanted to talk about is the frontal armor. It's rather flat with a huge gun mantle, and both of them are around about 300 millimeters of cast homogeneous armor. Now, cast homogeneous armor is famous for having lower steel quality than rolled homogeneous armor, and so you get a negative coefficient for the actual thickness of the armor when it comes to shells trying to penetrate it. By the way, watch this T-34-85. He must hear me. He must hear me. He must have seen me even. And he tries to rush the Panther, and I now try to lay an ambush for the T-34-85. The Panther now moves forwards. Best move he could have done. He was probably not able to swing the turret around in time to deal with the T-34-85, but I was. That's my ace. So forth, so good. So back to the armor. Frontal armor is unpenetratable for nearly everything. However, when I have driven the T29, I got penetrated multiple times by L7 APDS with 303 millimeters of penetration at 90 degrees of angle of attack and at point blank range. And I have 305 millimeters of armor. So when I then compared this to the mouse, 220 millimeters of turret front, which I more or less can reliably penetrate even with the American long-barreled 90 millimeter APHE shell, then I thought myself, well, the coefficient should be around about 0.9. If you apply this to this, you should end up with around about 270 millimeters. The Germans have, for example, on the long 88, the APCR with 271 millimeters of penetration. The same goes for a lot of the American 90 millimeter APCR. And they can't penetrate. They can't penetrate the front of this tank. However, the British 20 pounder with APDS with around about 280 millimeters can. Now I got shot from behind. I ping on the map for my Panther buddy. He swings around and the enemy wants to get close for the kill, but he gets killed instead. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This is team play. I'm the heavy armor, and this is something that I miss when I'm in the mouse. I have no Leopard that plays like this Panther, but sadly the Panther got taken out by a T-34-85, and this guy now can simply kill me without any real issue. I don't know what he actually aimed for. The Cupola seems like, and he took out my commander. I tried to swing around, but his reload and mobility is too good for my tank, and that's really the downside of the T28. So at this point in time, I thought to myself, well, screw it, and I just wanted to get into the P47M and just try to do some damage. So the T28 and the T95 are now the ultimate bullies when it comes with dealing with Germans, because you can't penetrate the flat front even with APCR from the long 88, and also the 105 and the 128 millimeter with APHE, but you also can't kill it with a shot in the Cupola because you simply overpenetrate, and you can one-shot everything that you potentially can meet, maybe except if a mouse gets lucky with the damage. Again, I completely miscalculated here the rockets because I was still set to 800 meters convergence. Yeah, and so I was not having the effect that I usually have in the P47M. But I think it's not a shame to also show sometimes when you don't have the success that you are used to, or not hitting the enemy. Then again, you're shooting at Russian tanks, so you need direct hits anyways. I'm not quite sure if you have fun for a very long time playing the T28 or the T95, because they're just so slow. They need support, but then again, if they're in the right position, they can be a real challenge for the opponent to take out. Most of the time you just take out one crew member at a time with a cupola shot, so you practically have to hit the driver's cupola 3 times. So that's the result here with 6 kills and 1622 score points. Didn't manage to have a proper run in my P47M due to the shortage of time, and that's why we have the results that we have. Here you can see the armor. So as usual, let me know in the comment section what you think about the T95 and the T28, the value of their armor, their impact on the battlefield, and how problematic they are for use since they received this really strange cupola buff. Let me know. Anyways, please give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies and on the battlefields of War Thunder.